Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how CNN is desperately trying to run cover for the deep state and the January 6th episode. Now, Tucker Carlson and others, but particularly Tucker Carlson in the mainstream, has really put forward sort of a lot of, I believe, a lot of information that would strongly suggest that the FBI, if they didn't plan the whole thing, they certainly intended to insert themselves in the crowd and encourage as much inflammatory behaviour as they could and facilitate it. Now, this will be along the lines of say, that so-called alleged plot to kidnap one of the US state governors, I think it was Gretchen Whitmer, and the FBI were paying these people to do it, supplying the logistical support and all the all the money and material that was needed, and then arrest those guys for allegedly doing this plot when the FBI did everything except lead them by the nose. It was, what a farce. And really, wherever you see any sort of protest or rally or march or anything at all that is not in support of the globalist project, any march or rally or protest, then you can pretty much guarantee the FBI or the deep state, whether it's the FBI or CIA or flunkies they employ or NGOs that they use that are working under the direction of the FBI, it doesn't really matter, but they're putting agitators in the crowd to try and stir things up and create a scene that the media, which is globalist controlled, the media can then report as, there, we told you, Nazis, fascist, we saw Hitler in the crowd, we did. And there was one, I think, at Chancellorsville where there was a guy walking along with a Nazi flag that he'd swastika. He clearly just pulled it out of the wrapping, and walking along, and everyone else that played even a minor role in that march was doxed and ID'd and so on. But that guy, exclusively, uniquely, that guy was not. And out of all the people that were there, so clearly he was a government operative that was inserted in the crowd to carry a flag to provide the photo op. Now, these things are not unusual all around the world now, the Western world, wherever the globalist project is being forced on the populace. There's all sorts of people being used to create photo ops and scenes. In Australia, in there's a march, there'll be a few people appear and they'll set up a fascist, a neo-fascist stand of some sort. And when you really start looking, you find out they're actually paid actors that are there just to provide the photo op for the mainstream news station, so they can say, and there was a march of neo-fascists and this sort of thing. But the whole thing was a setup. It's all theatre and again, paid actors being set up. Another one at a climate change thing. We're protesting the lack of government action in climate change. And there's some young girls were bawling their eyes out there. They were paid fucking actors to bawl their eyes out, which of course the mainstream media captured. Well, there you go. Look, little girls are upset. They're crying and they're wearing pink. Oh, look at it. It's an emergency. Let's do something. And these sort of things are really going all around. And it shows how desperate the globalists are. But it really means that any non-globalist approved march will be written off as a fascist thing or a Nazi this or a neo-Nazi or something like that, racists, and they'll insert people in the crowd to create incidents or create photo opportunities that they can then use to say, well, there you go, we told you, Nazis, look at that. So this is how they're doing it. And again, it's all across the Western world. They just seem to be a bit keener on it in the United States. Now, Jim Acosta's got doing a piece on CNN, and CNN seems to really be particularly, MSNBC too, but CNN seems to particularly wanted to run cover for this. So they're directly attacking Tucker Carlson's, the documentary he's done about the January 6th. It raises a lot of real, genuine questions. I mean, even if some of it was wrong, and I think Tucker's got it pretty right there. But even if some was wrong, this question is still there, and that's something that any law enforcement authority should want to deal with, to address the question, just to make sure that everything's totally above board. For example, that black car driver that said that the garage door pull rope was a noose, which was an absurd assertion. That what was it? 20 FBI agents can suddenly rush to deal with that. Something that was nonsense, obviously nonsense to begin with. It was all theatrics, and we take this seriously. Look, 20 agents gone. I mean, what about if someone discovers a I don't know, a lock of hair, and someone says, well, that's Hitler's hair. 100 agents, 1,000 agents. So I mean, it's bullshit. And again, it's all these silly globalist-inspired theatrics here. But the Jim Acosta's there, and what a fucking moron, seriously. And he's doing the thing about it's terrible to suggest or imply or have questions about the FBI's obvious involvement in January 6th. Now, whether that involvement was pivotal or not, or was benign, or they stirred up serious trouble, or they provided the means to create trouble that otherwise wouldn't have occurred, and these sort of things, then those are questions to be addressed. But rather than say, well, these are actually serious questions, let's deal with it one by one, and let's have an completely independent review of these events and these possible FBI involvements, and let's settle the matter once and for all. We should do it. It's in everyone's interest. It's a democracy, and these people are public servants. They serve the voters, or did once, and that needs to be addressed. But instead of that, Acosta and CNN generally, they just straight out go attacking Tucker. Oh, he's spreading lies, misinformation, disinformation. He's working for the Russians. And again, it's obvious that they're part of then what the FBI have done. They're simply confirming that there was involvement by the deep state in that, as they tried to dramatise it. And this will be the case for any alternative political party outside the mainstream that may threaten the globalist project. Any marches, protests, anything that threatens the globalist project will be infiltrated by Secret Services, FBI, or the goons that they employ. And you even saw this with, say, those Wall Street protests during the financial crisis. There were some people that were really good organisers and could put together some good tactics and marches, but the deep state inserted people in there to say, oh yeah, we could do that, but why can't we have more black lesbians on the committee? It's not representative. It's racist. It's misogynist. And so these were agitators that were put in there to disrupt and neutralise the Wall Street protests. They were specifically, but at the same time as those agitators were put in there to disrupt that, the media, which was increasingly globalist control at the time, started really pushing hard. And they'd done it before, but really pushing hard on race, gender, and climate change, anything to drag attention away from the fact that the globalists are stealing the Western lifestyle, Western jobs, Western standard of living, taking away the rule of law and due legal process, destroying democracy. Now, they accuse everyone else of doing it. Trump is destroying democracy. But whenever they accuse other people of doing it, it's because that's what they're doing. They're destroying democracy and the rule of law and so on. Remember, like, carry on about Trump. No one is above the law, the Democrats were saying. But look at how it's turned out. But what are we talking about with Hunter Biden? Like, he's not above the law. So that's where I think things are going, and that's my take on it. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.